press down, bend the knees generously, extension. Keep the knees a little bit bent. Exhale, come down, ball towards the floor, drop the ball. Back into a little variation of straddle and squat. So kind of play between letting the legs lengthen and bending out the knees. You can even widen your stride a bit if you feel like your body will want you to do that, to give yourself a little bit more space. So when we squat, the sit bones purposefully spread. So they pull away from their normal position when we're standing. So it's a really good opportunity to try to open up some of that space. All right, inhale, come part way up. Let's rotate over to the left. Take your ball with. So we're going to rotate over to the left and then just step back into a tabletop position. So once you're in a tabletop position, take your ball. Let's place it underneath the right knee. So it comes underneath the right knee. Fingertips nice and wide. Lean into your palms. Nice broad back. Folds of the elbows forward. And slowly slide your free leg back. Keep the big toe barely touching the floor. Now, instead of lifting the leg up right now, I want you to try to unroll your ball leg's toes. So take the leg that's on the ball and pull those toes up. So now instead of lifting the other leg, you're taking away that extra little bit of support. Now, if you can keep that knee planted under the hip, see if you just can barely take that straight leg off the floor. Just barely take it up. Or lessen the amount of body weight on the big toe. Inhale through the nose. And exhale through the nose. Now slowly see if you can lift that straight leg a little bit higher. You don't have to go super high. Maybe it's just like, I'm happy I can get that foot off the floor. Nice deep breath in. Nice deep breath out. So just a little bit more of a practice of stability and control, which is really good for that hip. Inhale through the nose. And exhale through the nose. Keep the folds of the elbows from rolling inward, so as the body starts to fatigue, it's going to start to ask neighboring muscles to help. Breathe. Nice long spine. Nice calm breathing. Let's go 5. Feel free. Toes can be down. 4. You choose where you're at. 3, 2, and 1. Drop that back foot down. Drop the knee down. So now you're on both knees. Remove the ball from that right knee or from the knee. Take your ball leg, so remember which leg just had the ball, and slide it forward now into pigeon. So the leg that was on the ball, you're going to slide it forward into pigeon. Square off the hip so you get into the glute. That whole idea of pulling the hip of the back leg forward is trying to help you more assertively get into the muscles of the glute. Inhale, come upright just for a moment, stretch into the hip flexor. And then exhale, bring yourself forward. Now, if you want to use the ball, either one, to support you, if you're kind of free floating a little bit too high for your liking, feel free to stick something underneath that hip. It's not uncommon to get stretching or pulling in the inner thigh of the front leg as well. Inhale. And exhale. Now pull the shoulders back. Make space for the neck. We're going to try to stay here for a little bit over a minute. So just trying to wake up the hip. We warmed it up. Now we're going to wake it up. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. Idea of movement in the morning is getting rid of the fuzz. It's like leaving something out on the counter and then the next morning it kind of has this film. That's what happens to the body when we sleep because we're not moving a whole lot. And if we don't move, simple things like arm circles and the staff of Brahman that we did, rolling out our feet, there's that film. Now add 365 days onto that. It's a lot of buildup. I'm going to go a few more breaths. The body has a natural self-lubricating system, and it's only applied, it only turns on when we move. So now inhale, slowly rise up, hands under the shoulders, curl the back toes under, start lifting your hips enough to release that front leg and just come into a down dog. If down dog is not preferred, come into table and stretch the leg back. Now take this opportunity to wake up your shoulders, wake up your spine, wake up your calves, wake up your breath.
Be very diligent, very focused, very particular about your movements, about where your mind goes, where your breath goes. And that's sometimes why people either love mat-based practices or they don't, because there's no distraction, or very limited at least. Okay, back down to the knees. Take your ball, now stick it under the opposite knee. So if you just did your right, now you're going to do your left. Fingertips nice and wide, open up the hand. The knee is under the hip. We have our kickstand right now. So those toes are curled under just for the sake of movement here. Okay, now slide your free leg back. Ball of the foot or big toe rests on the floor. The less amount of foot that you can start out with on the floor, the easier it's going to be to move forward here. Once you feel like you're steady, uncurl the toes on the ball side. Keep the back body broad. Once you feel pretty balanced, just try to barely lift up that free leg. Think about it. Stay on the mat. Stay with your breath. Stay very, very diligent. And now you can lift that leg up a little bit higher. It's not necessary, but hip height is about the max. Keep it rotated and squared down. Breathe. So all of those tiny little muscles way deep in your hip socket right now are turning on to try to stabilize you, to keep that leg from rolling everywhere. Your lower deep core muscles are kicking in, trying to support you. Kind of like a bungee cord. Breathe. You may notice at some point here that outer edge of the hip starts to fatigue, and that's okay. Those muscles are being worked. I'm going to go 5. Keep it broad. Folds of the elbows forward. 4. Keep breathing. 3. 2. And 1. Set the back leg down slow. Knee to the floor. Release the ball from under the knee. Now take that leg that was just on the ball and pull it forward into pigeon. Feel free, you might need to scooch a little bit, so sometimes the back leg kind of scooching back is the easiest way to nestle in. Adjust the front heel. Now inhale, square the hips. So I'm trying to bring the hip of that back leg a little bit more forward. Come upright just for a brief moment. Stretch through the chest, stretch through the hip flexor, and then exhale with length, start to bow forward. Even though pigeon is often talked about as focusing on the glute or the piriformis, this really radiates down through the entire leg. So if you have a tight point or tissue that's kind of stuck together in the hamstring, you're going to get a pinch there. If it's along the outside of the thigh, the IT band, you're going to get a pinch there. If it's the inner adductor or even into the groin or behind the knee, you're going to get a pinch there. Just because you feel that restriction doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means the tissues are stuck. Nice deep breath in and nice deep breath out. And this is a great aha moment for you, because if you're feeling tightness or pain or discomfort in the glute during the day, follow that line. This is where sometimes where the body screams or complains is not where the problem is. So breathe into those spaces, breathe into those areas. Create an awareness of your body that you can take with into your life. That's the name of the game. That what I do here affects me mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, off the mat. It changes the way I look at blank. You fill in the blank. I'm going to stay here for a few more rounds of breath. Soften the jaw, tongue off the roof of the mouth. All right, up slow. Hands to the mat, curl the toes under. And again, either downward facing dog or a table. But create some space in the leg and hip. Now you have all this blood flow rushing down to the leg, which is fantastic. Move the shoulders, move the head, shake the head, turn the head, move the hips, bend the knees.
Give yourself permission just to create a little bit of freedom in the pose. Freedom in a pose in a way where it's like, how would it feel if I move this way? How does it feel if I move that way? Or I really like that when I bend that knee and turn the foot that way, or turn my head to the right, that feels really good. That whole idea of creating awareness on the mat, we cultivate that insight to do those types of things. All right, back down to the knees, tabletop. Flip the hands around, thumbs on the outside, pinkies on the inside. It's getting to be clenching season. You all know what that means. All right, broad in the back. And push through the pinky side of the palm. Again, we're trying to push through the inside edge of the hand when we lean back because the arm usually spirals. So sitting back towards your heels, if you're getting that pinching in the front of the wrist, which is not uncommon, that radius and ulna can kind of get jammed, you're going to take your opposite hand, grab from what would be the back, and then turn it inward as you lean back. And then you can reverse it and do the same thing the other way. So just create a little bit of assisted movement.
So do you want the elbows to bend? Or do you just
when we do this first round and we lean back, if you're really hypermobile in the elbow joint, you're gonna have to already start bending. Because what'll happen is that joint is hypermobile, and so when you lean back, all of the pressure and all of the stretching that we're trying to bring into the wrist gets loaded in the elbow, because that's like your default place. That's your kind of weak link. It's the same thing like in plank. When we say straighten the arms in plank, you gotta watch those elbows. Okay, so now lean forward substantially over the wrists, and now bend your elbows as much as you possibly can, but look at your elbows. If you have some routed tissue, if you have some sort of pattern that you've created in your wrist, arm, and elbow, usually one arm is going to dive in. So my right arm is my mousing arm. It's what I do everything with. So that elbow almost automatically wants to fall inward. So when I lean back or I bend my elbows, I'm going to try really hard to make it go straight back the best that I can versus diving inward, which is its pattern I've created in my life, not on the mat. So now I'm going to try to correct that while I'm here. So that might mean that it doesn't bend as much. That might mean that it feels more gnarly or is more stuck or sticky, and that's okay. Okay, keep that leaning forward. Keep the elbows bent. Now this is that ripping sensation here. Lift the palms up. So I'm going to try to keep my elbows bent. I'm going to try to keep some of my body weight forward. I'm going to pick the hands up. Just remember, the older that you get, you want full freedom of your hands. You want to be able to open a jar. You want to be able to grip a doorknob. You want to be able to extend your hand completely open. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose. This part of our body is really important, yet we neglect it, and it's the last thing we think about. So take a couple more breaths here. Almost everything we do during the day is flexion-based in the hand and wrist, meaning closing and folding. This is the exact opposite. Let's go 4, 3, 2. Now just lean back towards your heels. Might be stiff, your hands might feel puffy, and that's okay. And just slowly start to open and close the hands again until you feel like they can move again. And then roll out the wrists. And you can do what I call a sleeve pull. So that wrist might just feel a little stiff or a little achy on one side. You can take one hand, and I like my arm out forward, and you're just literally going to pull the fascia back. So you might have a massage therapist where you're like, she's like, what are you doing, when she pushes her arm on your back, and you're like, this is so dumb. Like, it's not feeling it. What she's doing is she's trying to pull the fascial layers apart. She's trying to pull them apart from each other. So that's literally what you're trying to do here. So this is a really good thing to do if you're on a computer a lot and your arm starts to hurt. Just pull the fascia. And then you can do the same thing with the opposite side. And it works good because your hands are probably slightly clammy right now, so it sticks really good, and that's what you want. You can also turn if you want to turn, but basically you want to try to release that. And when you turn, you can see that pretty good. If all of a sudden it kind of looks like bubbly, like it almost looks like cellulite-y, like they're stuck, then you know there's a lot of pinches, there's a lot of tissue that's stuck in your forearm. So that would be a good point to like roll out the forearm too with the AccuBall. Okay, so once you've done that, shake out the arms. Come back down to tabletop. Now once you feel like your hands are like your own again, take your green ball, we're gonna stick that between the thighs, so just above the knee on the inner thigh. Fingertips nice and wide, middle finger forward, folds of the elbows forward, and let's pop it up into plank position. Now you can very much be in kneeling plank. I want your feet to be close enough, not touching, but that it kind of forces you to create even more of an engagement on the green ball, okay, versus it's just kind of between your legs. Now really hug on the ball, hip bones tip up into the belly, pull your shoulders back. Lean and press into all of your top 4 knuckles. Nice deep breath in, and nice deep breath out. Let's go 5. Breathe, you got this, hug on the ball. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now knees to the floor, keep your hands where they are, sit back towards your heels. Try to create a little traction in your back, wiggle your glutes back, okay? Again, that tailbone, we want it to be free. Nice deep breath in, nice deep breath out. Inhale, rise up to tabletop. Come back into table, fingertips nice and wide, curl the toes under. We're gonna keep that good engagement on the green ball. Now lift your knees 1 inch up off the mat. Pushing into all of your top 4 fingertips again. Hug on the ball strategically. Nice deep breath in. Nice deep breath out. Now on the next exhale, hinge back, keep your knees pretty bent, and come back into what I call a squatting dog. So you're pretty tight and low to the ground. Push your heels down as much as you can without straightening your legs. Now as you do that, think about trying to lift your toes up. So you're still in that pretty low squat. Press along through your arms, try to lift up your toes. Hold it. Now nice deep breath in. Exhale, glide forward back into that hovering table. Inhale here. Now exhale right where you are. Don't change the space of your wrist and foot, just lean back. Exhale, just get some length through your underarm, that's the focus. Nice deep breath in here. Exhale, just lean right back forward again, hovering table, squeeze on the ball. Nice deep breath in. Exhale, press it back. Sit into your heels without straightening your legs, just get lots of length through your arm. Inhale. Exhale, come forward. Inhale, hold it here. Exhale, press it back. I'm gonna go 2 more times. Inhale, stay long through your arms. Exhale, lean it forward, you got it. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, forward. Inhale, hold here for me. Exhale, knees down, sit back towards your heels. Reach the arms, take a breath, deep breath in, wiggle your hips back, deep breath out. Inhale, rise up to tabletop. Awesome. Move the ball out from between your legs and come down to your forearms. So we're just going to be on the forearms briefly. I want you to take the back arm, which is probably your right or left arm, and turn it towards me. So I have one arm that's horizontal and one arm that's vertical. Perfect. All right, take the arm that's pointing forward and stick it behind your head. So my hand now is glued, my palm is glued to the back of my hairline. Nice deep breath in, press yourself open, and try to take that arm that's behind your head and turn it up to the sky. It's like, why doesn't my back move that way? Think about pulling the elbow back as much as you can as you push out of that shoulder. So I know it's kind of like a weird movement, but what it's teaching you is how much rotation from your shoulder blade up you actually have. So try not to grit the teeth and struggle with the face. Turn the head then, just a little bit more. Let's go 5, 4, keep pulling that top elbow open. 3, 2, exhale down. Release the hands, switch arms, pause for a moment, just kind of recollect. Breathe, and then opposite hand comes behind the head. Elbow pulls wide, so it's already out of your peripheral vision. Start to push into the bottom shoulder and try to rotate yourself up and open. You're gonna feel that roadblock. You're gonna feel that restriction. That's where your body can no longer rotate. Your scapula no longer has range of motion. Your rib cage is now stuck. Your vertebrae no longer move. Okay, this is a really great insight to go, okay, body, where do I need to work a little bit more? Notice if one direction is like, wow, I can get a lot farther one way than I can the other. Let's go 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it back down. Forearms to the floor. Turn the fingertips forward again. Step back 1 foot at a time and come into forearm plank. So fingertips point forward. Palms are either going to be down, in, or try to turn your palms up and really push your thumbs into the floor. It's almost like your hands are like serving platters. Knees are always an option. Keep the hip bones tipped up. Pull the shoulders back so the chest is open. Let's go 4, 3, 2. Now drop the pelvis. Elbow's gonna sit underneath the shoulder. Palms can be down, in, or up. I'll let you choose. Sink into your shoulder, so literally lose your neck. It's kind of like you're on your belly reading a book and your back starts to hurt, so you sink. Now push down into your forearms, palms up or down, and lengthen through the topmost part of your head. Now as you do that, stretch back through your toes and try to keep your legs as even as possible so they're not rolling in or out. Now keep pressing up as much as you can. As your palms are up, I want you to turn them down. Spread your hands super wide. Without letting your elbows wing out like chicken wings, pull your elbows 1 inch up off the floor, just 1 inch. And as you do that, pull your belly in a little bit more strategically. It's gonna make your glutes engage, and that's okay. Keep the shoulders down, keep the chest broad. Now you can stay here and just lift the elbows up a little bit higher. We're not going to lock mode. Folds of the elbows are still pointing forward, not in. Shoulders are still pulling down. Belly is still trying to pull up strategically. Inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose. Keep your feet anchored down. Exhale, lower down slow. Hand over hand, rest the forehead down on the hands.